इष्टम् स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome to this seminar on the Harinam Chintamani, Sri Harinam Chintamani. I offer my humble and respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees who have assembled here for this discussion on the holy name. I would also like to offer my obeisances unto our spiritual masters who are Nama Gurus, who teach us the Nama Tattva. I would also like to offer my obeisances unto all the Vaishnava Acharyas who have very much spoken about the holy name, especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a lot about the holy name. And all the Acharyas propagate the Nama Tattva. So unto them also I offer my humble obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came us to give us the holy name. So we will be discussing about the glories of the holy name, which has been given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I would also like to offer my humble obeisances unto all the devotees who are propagating the holy name through this ISKCON established by Srila Prabhupada, and all the future devotees who would be coming in touch with the holy name. So I'll just try to adjust the screen because there is sunlight which is hitting me. Give me a minute, please. Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's better, I guess, now. So today we will begin our series on the Sri Harinam Chintamani. I will share the screen as to what we will be discussing during this seminars. I hope everyone is able to see the screen. So the book which we are going to discuss is called as the Sri Harinama Chinta Mani. The holy name is Chintamani. It is a wish fulfilling, name which can fulfill all your desires. And that's why it is called as the touchstone. We know about the money by which we can, which it comes with any iron object, it turns into gold. But the holy name is of a different kind, and it will bestow the highest desire of the jiva, that is Krishna Prem. So this is the book which is written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and I'm just going to briefly discuss what will be the study method and the topics we will be covering in Sri Harinam Chintamani. Firstly, we will be discussing a brief background behind the composition of Sri Harinam Chintamani. Why did Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur compose the Sri Harinam Chintamani? It is what reason, what were the reasons during his times that he felt the need to compose this literature? In this context, we will be discussing a little overview of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The biography of Bhaktivinoda Thakur will be discussing what were the times he was living, what were the challenges he was facing, and how he overcame these challenges by composing literatures, and especially Sri Harinam Chintamani. So the brief background of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life and the background of Sri Harinam Chintamani's composition we will be seeing. This we will be doing today. And then we will be looking into the introduction and the overview of Sri Harinam Chintamani. We will have the introduction. Introduction is an article written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself to this book, Sri Harinam Chintamani. We will be going through that introduction, word by word, line by line, and we will have the overview of the book of Sri Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani has 15 chapters, and we will have the overview. So today we will be trying to cover these two parts in our topics. Now, coming to the study method, we are quite fortunate because actually Harinam Chintamani was composed in Bengali by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he had composed the Bengali verses with the Bengali translation of the verses, as well as many footnotes were there. What the meanings of what he's speaking was there. And in fact, he had a lot of subtitles and titles in his Bengali composition. Many of the Sri Harinam Chintamani books, which are available in ISKCON translated, they are just the English rendition of the Bengali verses. The subtitles and the footnotes are many places missing. But recently, a book printed by the Golden Age Media, I'd like to show the book. Yeah, this is the book. So this book, which was printed by the Golden Age Media, has all the titles, subtitles, and the contents is here. Yeah, this book, which was printed by Golden Age Media, the beauty of this book is that all the verses are there, Bengali, of course, in English. The subtitles, the footnotes, here you can see the Bengali verses are there, the translation is there, and there are some footnotes also you can see here. There are also titles here. You can see the titles. So this makes the study very, very systematic. So what we will be doing in our study is we will be going verse by verse, reading of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Harinam Chintamani. So I'll be directly reading the book which is in the PDF format. I will share all the books, this PDF book to all the devotees today. You can send me your email address And those who have the physical book, they can sit with the book and go through while we are having this discussion. So I'll be reading each of these verses, and we will be discussing some philosophical concepts. We'll be also discussing some citations, that means which verse he's actually referring when he's speaking this Bengali verse, which verse from the Bhagavatam or from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the important philosophical concepts related to the Bengali verses, we will be trying to have it in the form of charts so that we can easily understand what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. And some of the verses, Bengali verses, which he's speaking, there are many other citations he is referring to. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has not given those citations because he wanted to adhere to the Bengali and the Orissa audience. So the citations we will be looking so that we can more relish, Sri Harinam Chintamani. So the study method will be verse to verse discussion from the Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sri Harinam Chintamani, and the philosophical concepts, the citations, and the charts will be in the PPT. So the PPT will only have the concepts, the citations, and the charts. Also, while discussing the verse to verse from Sri Harinam Chintamani, actually Harinam Chintamani is a conversation on the glories of the holy name, which was spoken by the Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur by when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had put forth questions. And this discussion happened in Siddh Bakul. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 3, which is entitled The Glories of Srila Haridas Thakur, this conversation is there. And this conversation went at a great length between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur and all the assembled Vaishnavas there. And we will be also referring to some of the verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is Mahaprabhu's conversation with Haridas Thakur. So while reading the verse, Bengali verse by verse, we will be drawing some parallels from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these three points which are there, they are the study method, and the first two are some of the topics we are covering as a brief background to Sri Harinam Chintamani. So if you have any questions regarding the whole topic that we are covering, you can always raise your hands anytime during the discussion. So any questions, any clarifications you need regarding the topics to be covered and the the study method of Sri Harinam Chintamani? Okay, so let us now go to the brief background of the composition of Sri Harinam Chintamani. This is the first topic which we'll be covering today. Now, I would like to little bit go into the brief biography of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's contribution is immense and immeasurable, and it can be analyzed in two ways. His contribution has no length and breadth, in fact. Firstly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared after the six Goswamis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement was handed over to the six Goswamis. It is the six Goswamis who established Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement by writing literatures and re-establishing the glories of Vrindavan Dham. So practically the six Goswamis were the ones who executed the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After the six Goswamis, it was actually the leader of the six Goswamis, Srila Jiva Goswami, who was the head of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who took forward Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Under Srila Jiva Goswami were the trio, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamanand Pandit, and Srinivas Acharya, who further propagated Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. They spread the teachings of Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Orissa and Bengal. Practically, the first book distribution and writings of the Goswamis were printed and distributed widely by the trio, that is Narottam Das Thakur, Shamanand Pandit, and Srinivas Acharya. And later, after these trio, were Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur and Srila Vidyabhushan, who was his disciple, that is in the 17th century and the late 17th century. After this period, practically the end of 17th century, the 18th century, and the beginning of the 19th century, Mahaprabhu's movement was lost completely. His teachings were completely lost, and many deviant groups have appeared during that time. It was practically, there were 13 Apasampradayas, as I've mentioned here, who had distorted completely the pure teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared during that time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his eternal associate, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to revive back the teachings, the pure teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, he had to face external obstacles. He had to face internal obstacles. So today, in his biography, we are going to discuss what were the external obstacles and what were the internal obstacles and how he overcame the external and the internal obstacles. See, the external obstacles. Bhaktivinoda Thakur lived at a time, it was the time when British had established its empire in India, especially at Calcutta. The East India Company was established for a business purpose. And under this British rule, Christianity was not spread that time because the king at England was against it. And the Christian missionaries had not yet entered India. They were all in Burma and all other places, but they had never come inside India because they knew that we had established the East India Company for business purpose. We don't want to disturb the culture of India. But later on, when the king of England changed, he made it a mandate that our purpose to establish colonies is to spread Christianity. So the Christian missionaries slowly started entering, Bengal. So Christianity started spreading in, India during the British Raj. And the British rule, which was consolidated, which was very strong, tried to reform the Indian culture. The Indians were, introduced to the European tradition, the European style of living. And the Indians that time, especially the Bengalis, who were highly cultured, they are called as the Bhadralok. The Bhadralok means, the Bhadra means the cultured people. And they were caught up with the introduction of the European culture, but the Vedic culture, especially the Gaudiya culture, was completely degraded at that time. Why? Because of the Apasampradayas. The highest philosophy of Krishna Prem, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to give, was imitated and made very cheap, especially by the Sahajiyas. The Sahajiyas were imitating, all this, and they were doing all illicit activities. And this culture, they could not take up the Indian culture because of the Apasampradayas, and they were attracted to the European tradition. And especially the Britishers uh, uh, brought changes in the 19th and the 20th century by introducing, especially in their preaching, by opening hospitals, by opening schools. So humanitarian became, the trend of spirituality at that time under Christianity, under the British Raj. And we are seeing today also many Christian missionaries have schools and do a lot of humanitarian work. So this began in the 19th and the 20th century by the British. With humanitarianism also, what happened is uh, the British were having subtle attacks on the Vedic culture by saying that, you Indians, you worship so many gods, but we have only one God. And we have also the culture of doing humanitarian work. So the Indians could not respond during that time, especially the intellectuals of Bengal. And they also came up with the philosophy of impersonalism. Oh, we have also one God. There is only one God. We are all God and everything is God. So they came up with the Mayavad philosophy and the Brahma Samaj was established. The Brahma Samaj was an answer to the Christian missionaries about the propagation of one God. So the distorted philosophy of one God through the Brahma Samaj happened that time. So the pure teachings of personalism was completely lost during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time. So these were the external obstacles during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So how did Bhaktivinoda Thakur fight, these external obstacles? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur presented the Bhakti Yoga philosophy in an unadulterated and uncompromising way. At the same time, he presented in a very sensitive and appealing way by which the intellectuals and the common masses would be attracted to the Gaudiya philosophy or the pure Vedic teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how did he do? For the intellectuals, the Bhadralok, in Bengal, they are the, Chakravarti, the Bandhopadhyay, they were all intellectuals. And they were now caught up in the European tradition and they had rejected the Vedic tradition because of the Apasampradayas. So for such intellectuals, the Bhadralok, what did Bhaktivinoda Thakur do? Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote or composed the books like the Jaiva Dharma, the Chaitanya Shikshamrit, the Harinam Chintamani also. The Harinam Chintamani is as well as a philosophical book, as well as a simple book for everyone to understand. So with these kind of compositions, the Bhadraloks got attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement and took up to Gaudiya Vaishnavisms. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote an entire book to defeat the Brahma Samaj philosophy. The book is called as Prema Pradeep. Prema Pradeep is a very beautiful novel written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he completely in a very soft and systematic way, smashes the Brahma Samaj philosophy of, serving humanitarianism and everything is God, we are all gods, this Mayavad philosophy. So this is the way Bhaktivinoda Thakur fought with the external obstacles by composing his philosophical works. Especially his philosophical works are Jaiva Dharma and the Chaitanya Shikshamrit. Now for the common masses, for the simple people, Bhaktivinoda Thakur composed Vaishnav songs. At that time, the upper sampradayas also were, singing songs. And, these songs had become very, very famous. And they were all concocted songs. Bhaje Radha Krishna, Hare Ram, all these kind of songs, which were all distorted and they were not having any Shastric background. So what did Bhaktivinoda Thakur do? He composed devotional songs. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote 4 books, the Gita Mala, the Gitavali, Kalyan Kalpataru, and Sharnagati. So he used their same meter, the same style, which the popular songs were there of the upper sampradayas to attract them also. But in Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs, he presented the philosophical teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? You know, and what is his, philosophy? Through the songs itself, he expressed the philosophy. He gave the right humility in his songs, and he glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the right mood, Sharanagat Bhav, the right mood to pray to the absolute truth, he brought out in these songs. So that is how, he fought by establishing his books for the intellectuals and for the common masses. Now, there were some internal obstacles during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time. What were the internal obstacles? They were the Jat Goswais. That means those who were born in the Goswami families, the Advaita Vamsha, the Nityananda Vamsha. These Jat Goswamis, they had entire monopoly over Gaudiya Vaishnavisms. And they used to say that it is only we who are authorized to give Harinam initiation. We only have the right to propagate the holy name. Nobody else. Those who are born in the Goswami families, only they have the right. We have the right. Now, some of these Goswamis who were born in the Goswami families, they were pure, but some were engaged in bhajan. They were bhajananandis. They were absorbed in the holy places and they were executing their bhajan. But many of these caste Goswamis, they were just there to maintain their deities at home. They wanted money. They wanted followers. So the common people who were attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were also singing these concocted, mantras, concocted songs about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They had no philosophical understanding. And these caste Goswamis, they were the official center of power. And these common people used to go to the caste Goswamis to, teach them, but they were not interested in the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were interested in money and following. So this were the times, and Sahajism was rampant during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time. There were 13 Apasampradayas Bhaktivinoda Thakur identified that time, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to smash these Apasampradayas. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur specially, wrote books like the Sri Harinam Chintamani, the Bhajan Rahasya, the Shikshashtakam, explaining the glories of the holy name. Now, actually, it is said that the caste Goswamis had completely, distorted the glories of the holy name. When the common people is to come to these caste Goswamis and they is to ask, in Bengal and Orissa, the common food is fish. Fish is called as Jalera Fal. It is the fruit of the ocean, Jalera Fal. So they used to say that, we can commit all sinful activities and also take the holy name. The caste Goswami is to say, yes, you can do that. And the example is Ajayamai. So they took out this verse from the, Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a famous verse. Briyamano Harer Nama Granan Putto Prajaritam Ajamilo Agad Dhama Kim Uta Shraddaya Granan. Ajamil, by chanting the name of the Lord, Harer Nama Grahan, to indicate his son, Prutta Upacharitam. Ajamil chanted the holy name, not indicating to the Lord. This is called as Sanket. He did not, his object of the holy name to chant was not to call the Lord, but to call his son. So although Putra Upacharita, when did he do? While dialing. Briyamana. What happened to him? Attained the Lord. Agadhama, he went to the Lord. What will happen? What then will happen if one chants with faith? Kim Uta Shraddhayagranan. So these caste Goswamis, they were saying to all the common people, you can do any sin and Chant the holy name will deliver you. And what is the example? The example is of Ajamil. Ajamil committed so many sinful activities. At the time of death, he called out not Lord Narayan, but he called out his son Narayan, and he attained the Lord. So similarly, you commit any sinful activities, but take the holy name. The holy name will deliver you. But this is not the real import of this verse. The real import of this verse, this is called as Kaimutik Nai. Kim uta shraddaya granan. This part they forgot. What will then happen if one chants with faith? Now, second part, they did not, these Kas Goswamis understand that although Ajamil chanted the holy name, indicating his son, but the Vishnu Dutas, Yamdutas came and they had the conversation and they discussed the glories of the holy name. And Ajamil got the Sambandha Gyan, and later on, whatever time he had, he went to, Haridwar, and in that Sambandha Gyan, understanding the glories of the Lord, understanding the glories of the holy name, perfected his life, and then went back to Godhead. So these intricacies of the philosophies, the Kas Goswamis were not interested to know the philosophy. They just wanted to make money and have monopoly. So they completely distorted the glories of the holy name. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur especially composed the Harinam Chintamani to explain that there are three stages of chanting. There is Namaprad, there is Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. Only by chanting Shuddhanam one can go back to the spiritual world of the Lord. If you chant Namaprad, this is also for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas have to understand. If we remain throughout our life chanting Namaprad, at best we can go to heaven. If we chant the holy name at the Namabha stage, we can attain liberation. But only by chanting Shuddhanam, we can attain Krishna Prem. So this clear understanding of the philosophy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave it by writing Sri Harinam Chintamani. So the purpose of we studying, Sri Harinam Chintamani is how to take the pure names of the Lord, by which we can attain Krishna Prem, by which we can go back to the spiritual world. So this is why we are studying Sri Harinam Chintamani. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had these internal obstacles and he fought these internal obstacles against the Kas Goswamis, against the Upper Sampradayas by extensively writing on the philosophy of the holy name. So one of his books we are studying, that is Sri Harinam Chintamani. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written many other books on the holy name. He has written an entire book called as Sri Nama. Sri Nama is very similar to Sri Harinam Chintamani. In Sri Nama, again, he has given the philosophical background of different sadhanas and what is the best sadhana, that is Bhakti Yoga. And among Bhakti Yoga, which is the best Anga, that is chanting the holy name. And then he goes on to the 10 offenses and how to avoid the 10 offenses. Similarly, in Sri Harinam Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has discussed the glories of the holy name in 3 chapters, then the 10 offenses, and how we can chant Shuddhanam by attaining Krishna Prem. So he has composed Sri Nam, he has composed Harinam Chintamani, he has composed Shikshakshatam, he has written a commentary on that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's 8 verses. Then especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written what is called as the Bhajan Rahasya. The Bhajan Rahasya is a personal guide. Actually, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself practiced bhajan, he has given some confidential secrets in his Bhajan Rahasya. So today, in these series of seminars, we are discussing Sri Harinama Chintamani. Now, the internal obstacles, as I was mentioning, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to fight it. And the internal obstacles are also very, very difficult compared to the external obstacles. Firstly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had appeared in the Shakta family. He had not appeared in the Vaishnava family. He was an outsider. He became the member of the Bhadra Lok, the Bhadra Samaj, by how? By working with the British government. The British government, he was a magistrate under the British government. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although he was a Nitya Siddha, in the manifested Leela, the Lord arranged that Bhaktivinoda Thakur be born in a Shakta family. Just like the Lord arranged Haridas Thakur to be born in a Yavana family, and from Haridas Thakur, he extolled the glories of the holy name. He made him the Namacharya. Similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, being born in a Shakta family, working under the British Raj, he attracted the intellectuals of Bengal, because the Bengali people were attracted now to the European tradition. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur took the authority to speak on Gaudiya Vaishnavism by taking initiation from Bipin Bihari Goswami. Bipin Bihari Goswami was connected in the Guru Shish Parampara. So he needed the authority to preach Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself connected to the Gaudiya Parampara by taking initiation from Bipin Bihari Goswami. But his real inspiration was Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, whom Bhaktivinoda Thakur accepted as his Shiksha Guru. And later on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur took inspiration from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur internally had to fight the obstacles to re-establish Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was highly educated in English, and he knew the contemporary Western thoughts. Not only he was able to influence the intellectuals of Bengal, he was able to, influence the intellectuals of British during that time also. And that is why the British were so favorable to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In fact, when he was a magistrate, we all know that the British government built a railway track which was passing through his house. So that was the credit Bhaktivinoda Thakur attained, had the rapport that, he had with the British. So he knew the Western thought, and he was able to, even influence the Westerners during his time. And he also was able to influence the intellectuals of Bengal during his time. So he solidly established the Gaudiya philosophy in an unadulterated form and giving its core and essence. He dislodged the monopoly of the caste Goswamis, who were holding a very strong hold during that time in Bengal, Orissa. And they were solely penetrating into Vrindavan that time. Later on, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur took the task of Bhaktivinoda Thakur of dislodging the caste Goswamis by establishing the Gaudiya Math throughout the India and even some abroad countries. And later, Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON throughout the world, and he fought the caste Goswamis also. But the main work of, fighting with the caste Goswamis and the upper Sampradayas was done by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So they laid the foundation for Prabhupada to spread the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So these are some of the internal and external struggles Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to go through to revive Mahaprabhu's teachings. And this has a connection of composing Sri Harinam Chintamani. And that is why I thought this is wise for us to discuss, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's biography and how Sri Harinam Chintamani speaks about the glories of the holy name and how the caste Goswamis misinterpreted this. And there are these three stages which we will be slowly studying: Nama Prad, Nama Bhasya, and Shuddha Nam. So this is regarding, the life and the brief background of composition of Sri Harinam Chintamani. In fact, in Bengal, it was common in the people there to see that most of the people, had faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had recently appeared. In one hand, you could find people holding the bead bag, and in another hand, you could find people holding a fish. They were taking from the market fish and going to their home. That means they were committing sins at the same time they were chanting the holy name. So this was a common scene in Bengal during that time. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote Sri Harinam Chintamani to explain that there is Namaprad. If you are committing sins while chanting the holy name, then you will not get the benefits of chanting the holy name. You will be doing Namaprad. And Namaprad chanting will not, give us liberation, or to speak of Krishna Prem. So this tattva of these three stages of chanting, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has very, very beautifully brought out in his Sri Harinama Chintamani, which we are going to study. Now, let us come to the overview. Now, any questions you have regarding what we discussed about the brief, biography of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the brief, brief, understanding of why Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur composed Sri Harinam Chintamani. Anyone has any questions? There is one question asked here in the chat. Is Brahmo Samaj the same as Arya Samaj? Yes, it is the same. It is the same. The Brahmo Samaj and the Arya Samaj are same. Any other questions? There is one question by Krishna Pad Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. I have unmuted you. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. It was the question that I posted in chat. Same thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah. It's the same. Okay. So now we'll go to the second topic, what we are going to discuss. That is the overview of Sri Harinam Chintamani. I hope I'm sharing the screen. Let me see. No, I'm not sharing. So let me share the screen. Yes. Now this is the overview of the Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani has 15 chapters. The first three chapters, the first chapter is the glories of the holy name, Sri Nama Mahatya Sucha. It is called as Nama Achintya Shakti also. The second chapter is chanting the holy name, Nama Grahana Vichar or Nama Varana. When you understand the glories of the holy name, then there is a stage where you accept the holy name. When you acceptance is called as Varan. This 5 stages are mentioned, Shravan Dasha and Varan Dasha. Shravan means to hear the glories of the name. Varan means to accept. So the stage of acceptance. The more we understand the glories of the holy name, and with this understanding, we chant the holy names, then there is that Varan Dasha, or there is the Nam Varan. So Nama Grahan or Varan it is called. And then the third is called as the Namabhash, the Namabhash Vichar. So this here I have titled as Nama Kirtan Vina Nirvishesh Bhavana. So doing Nam Kirtan, chanting the holy names, Vina means without, Nirvishesh, impersonalistic conceptions. So here in the Namabha stage, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this chapter is extremely important for us to understand. So these 3 chapters are the foundation for chanting the holy names. They give us what is called as the Sambandha Gyan. The Sambandha Gyan. We know that there are these 3 topics in all Vedic literatures. Bhagavan Sambandha, Bhakti Hai Abhidhaya, Prema Prayojana. Veda ei teen vastu kahe. Bhagavan hai sambandh. Our relation is to establish, relationship with the Lord, Bhagavan, who is Krishna. Bhakti hai abhidaya. And how to attain Bhagwan? By the process of bhakti. And prema prayojan. After practicing the abhidaya, what is the goal? Practice of the goal of bhakti to attain prem. Similarly, the sambandha gyan of Bhagavan or the holy names, because the holy names are non-different from the Lord, that sambandha gyan is given in these first three chapters. And these first three chapters, are a little bit philosophical. There is the Nama Tattva given here. And please be patient and try to understand this philosophy. And the more this Sambandha Gyan is understood properly, with this Sambandha Gyan, when we chant, that is, we do the Abhidheya, then we will get the Prayojan. If we don't, chant the holy names without proper Sambandha Gyan, then we will be committing the 10 offenses. So that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur from chapter 4 to chapter 13 discusses Dashanam Aparad, the 10 offenses. So the more we understand, this Nama Tattva, and with this Sambandha Gyan, we chant, we can avoid the Dashanam Aparad. We can properly have the Abhidheya Gyan. We can properly practice the Abhidheya and attain ultimately the Prayojan. So what are these, Dashanam Aparad? The Abhidheya Gyan is given. So we know that in the case of Ajamil, he did not chant the name with proper Sambandha Gyan. He, had relationship with his son. He had love and affection for his son. And he had, taken the shelter of his son at the greatest time of danger. That was at the time of death. So with improper Sambandha Gyan, he chanted, helplessly his son's name Narayan. So without proper Sambandha Gyan, he chanted the name of Narayan. But what was the effect? What was the effect of that name of Narayan? That all his sin was destroyed. He attained the stage of Namabhasha, in fact. But because the Lord had bestowed his mercy in his previous, life, before becoming a, associating with the prostitute, he had led a Brahminical life. Somehow, Krishna, being mercy, sent his Vishnu Dutas, and within the Vishnu Duta and the Yamaduta conversation, he got the proper Sambandha Gyan. And with this proper Sambandha Gyan, he practiced his life with proper Abhidheya and then attained the Prayojan of attaining Krishna Prem and going back to Vaikuntha. Similarly, if we don't get proper Sambandha Gyan of the Naam, then we will commit this Dashanam Aparad. We will be not able to do the Abhidheya properly and attain Krishna Prem. So the Abhidheya Gyan is this Dashanam Aparad. How to avoid these 10 offenses? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given in chapters 4 to 13. I hope I'm clear about what is the Sambandha Gyan and Abhidheya Gyan. Then, as I was mentioning, 8 to 13 are all these 10 offenses, Dashanam Aparad, Abhidheya. And then when we avoid these 10 offenses and with proper sambandh, we chant, then what happens? We attain the Prayojan. Prayojan is Krishna Prem. So chapter 14 and 15 in the Harinam Chintamani, along with the Dashanam Aparad, there are the Seva Aparads. So the Seva Aparads, how to be avoided, is given. And how to perform bhajan, bhajana pranali it is called, the bhajan of confidential worship. When we avoid the Dashanam Aparad, we come to this Namabhash stage. And Namabhash stage is called as the clearing stage. There is the offensive chanting, there is the offenseless chanting, and the pure chanting. Namaparad, Namabhash, Shuddhanam. So how to chant now after clearing the, Dashanam Aparad, as well as clearing the Seva Aparads, how to take the Shuddhanam. So the confidential secrets of taking Shuddhanam, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given in chapter 15, which is a very long chapter. and very, very important chapters for those devotees who are very serious about taking this process of chanting the holy names and attaining perfection in this very life. So this is how these 15 chapters overview we can see from the angle of Sambandha Abhideva and Prayojan. Any questions regarding this? You all can raise your hands. There is one question here. Okay, one question from Virendra Yadav Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is Harinam Chintamani based on Shikshashtam prayers? Okay, Harinam Chintamani overview, as we saw, is based on basically the 3 stages of chanting: Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. These 3 stages of chantings which we go through. And Shikshashtam, the 8 prayers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is based on the 9 stages of bhakti. While practicing bhakti, we go through these 9 stages: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. So these are the 9 stages we go through in bhakti itself. So the first verse of Shikshashtakam speaks of Shraddha. How glorious is the holy names, the 7 effects or benefits of chanting, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That is what happens. The 7 perfections at the highest stage are given there. So we have to have faith and we take up to the holy name. That is the stage of Shraddha. And the second verse of the Shikshashtakam speaks about, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, and Anarth Nivritti. These 3 stages are taken. Because Durdaiva miya ye dishaminu janinanu raga. I have not developed raga because there is anarthas. So the Sadhu Sangha, Anarth Nivritti, and Bhajan Kriya are mentioned in these 3 stages are mentioned in the Shikshashtakam second verse. The third verse of the Shikshashtakam, Trunadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishnam, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. This verse speaks of someone who is chanting at the stage of Nishta. At the stage of Nishta, actually, the sadhaka has attained spiritual vision by which he can see that every Jivatma is a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And he actually offers respect for every soul. He is free from false ego. That's why he's Trunadapi. He has developed genuine humility of the soul. And that is why he is able to take the holy names with firm faith. And then he comes to the next stage of Ruchi and Asakti, where there is no na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. And then the Bhava stage is Ainanda Tanuja Kinkara, Patitam Va Vishame Bhavamudau. At this stage, the sadhaka has attained almost perfection, Siddhi. And in this perfection, now he has realized his Swarupa, as well as he has realized his relation, rasa, in which rasa he is related to Krishna. That means he understands whether he is related to Dhasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya. So at Bhava, his Swarupa is revealed to him. And the next verses, he is feeling separation from Krishna. Nayanam Galadashrudaraya Vadanam Gadgad Hridayagara Pulkechitam. These verses which we chant in the Shikshashtakam, they are speaking only when we have attained love for Krishna, then we know what is separation. We have our loved ones whom we live, whom we have a relationship. And when they leave this world, we feel separation, and we cry that time. So when one has that love and relationship with Krishna, then there's genuine feelings of Vipralamba, separation come. And these verses of Shikshashtakam speak. There is Sambhoga and Vipralamba. And the highest stage is the 8th verse of the Shikshashtakam, where Srimati Radharani, how she is feeling the separations of Krishna there. So very, very, exalted prayers. These are Shikshashtakam, what we chant every day. So from this angle, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has, analyzed the Shikshashtakam prayers. Whereas here in Harinam Chintamani, it is based on these, Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. From this angle, he has composed these 15 chapters of the Sri Harinama Chintamani. Is it clear, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. Is it clear? Okay. So another point I would like to make, since this point came up, Srila Prabhupada himself, I will bring up this in some other time in the discussion. Srila Prabhupada himself told in one of his lectures, Bhaunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvam iti Sahamatma Sudurlabha. So one of the lectures, when Srila Prabhupada was giving lecture on this Bhagavad Gita talk, he genuinely told to his disciples, you are all young now. Prabhupada's, all his disciples who were hippies that time, they were 18, 20 years old. You have at least 50 years, ahead of you. Please take up to this holy name very seriously. And within this 50 years, try to perfect your life and chant the pure name and go back to Godhead. So there, what Srila Prabhupada meant in his lecture, we will analyze that in our discussions, that the Namaprad stage for sadhakas who have taken up to the chanting of the holy name, to cross, it takes many, many years. Prabhupada himself, out of his genuine humility, once told that it took me 20, 30 years, to cross the Namaprad stage. Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha from the spiritual world, but he acted as a sadhaka also to teach us lessons. So this is what Prabhupada told, that the Namaprad stage is a very long stage in sadhakas who are practicing. We have to have this clear understanding. And when one can quickly cross through this Namaprad stage by understanding the glories of the holy name and avoid the 10 offenses, you can come to the Namabha stage. Once you come to the Namabha stage, then the journey is very smooth. It's like coming down from the mountain. The Namaprad stage or the Bhajan Kriya and Anarth Nivritti is like climbing the mountain. That to a mountain which is practically perpendicular. It's like 90 degrees. So that is like how it is. So the Namaprad stage is the longest stage as sadhakas we practice, and we can cross this stage by understanding the glories of the holy name, avoiding the 10 offenses. From this angle also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed this work. So we were still in the overview discussion, and we have not yet begun the introduction. So the overview, I guess, was clear to you all. Now introduction, this is now 8:17. We are supposed to finish at 8:30. So we have another 15 minutes. So I will begin with the introduction of Sri Harinama Chintamani. I will begin with this today, and tomorrow we will further continue. Okay. Okay. Fine. So let me begin now with the introduction written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Please feel free to ask questions, because we want to have a more interactive discussion during these talks. So, sorry. So let me now share the screen. Now, introduction to Sri Harinam Chintamani. It has 5 paragraphs. This is written himself by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Paragraph 1 and 2 speak about Adhikari, the concept of Anubandha Chatusta. Don't worry what it means, I will tell you. Paragraph 3 is a short sketch of the life of Haridas Thakur. Paragraph 4, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks the source of compilation of Sri Harinam Chintamani. What is his source of compilation of Sri Harinam Chintamani? And paragraph 5, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about perfection through bhajan, that is the prayojan. So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur's 5 paragraphs we can analyze. So let us now go to the actual introduction written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying here? We will, I think, take paragraph 1 and 2 today, and tomorrow we will continue with paragraph 3, 4 and all. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is not an ordinary book. Only persons who have firm faith in Lord Chaitanya and in devotional service, and who take shelter of the holy name, are qualified to understand this book. So there are 3 criterias. One is firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, firm faith in bhakti. We have only faith that practicing bhakti we will attain perfection, not the path of gyan, not the path of karma. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas, Sudrida Nishchay. What is Shraddha? Deep faith, Vishwas, Sudrida Nishchay. That is drid, that is very, very firm. Krishna Bhakti kailay, Sarva Karma Krit hoy. If I perform Krishna Bhakti, then everything else is taken care. Not that devotees, while practicing bhakti, sometimes they are suffering and they go to an astrologer. The astrologer says, maybe, you have this dosh, Shani dosh, and then let me go also do a demigod worship and become free from, the suffering I'm undergoing. This faith, this kind of faith is divided faith between Krishna and the demigods. One should have only faith in by bhakti, that if I perform bhakti, everything is taken care. One should also understand that moment a devotee comes in touch with bhakti, attains Shraddha and starts taking the holy name, takes up to the bhakti process, he is no more under the law of karma. Directly Krishna takes control over him. Whatever suffering a devotee is undergoing, it is Krishna who is giving that suffering so that he can come to him. Whatever happiness he is experiencing in Krishna consciousness, it is Krishna who is giving that. So one should have this kind of faith in bhakti. He has to have faith in Lord Chaitanya. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas only accept Lord Chaitanya. Even the Madhvas and the Sri Vaishnavas and the other Sampradayas, they don't have knowledge about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how fortunate we are that we have come to know about Lord Chaitanya. Navdeep Dham, you ask any Sri Vaishnava, do they know about Navdeep? They don't know about it. Only the Gaudiya Vaishnavas know the glory of Navdeep Dham. So we should have faith in this, and one should take shelter of the holy name. Nama bina kichu nahi chauda bhuvane. In the 14 planetary systems, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying there is nothing except the holy name. This kind of faith we should have. We should take Nam Ashray. The only means of practicing bhakti is by chanting the holy names. The Kali Yuga Dharma, Kali Kale, Krishna Nam. There is the holy name, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalavam, Kalo Naste, Kalo Naste, Kalo Naste, eva gatir anyatha. So this kind of faith we should have in the holy names. It is the holy names only by which we can attain perfection, by which we can attain, Krishna Prem. Tara Madhe Sarvashresh, Nama Sankirtan, Niraprad Namalay, Praye Premadhan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling to Sanatana Goswami, among all the angas of bhakti, the topmost anga is Nama Bhajan, Nama Sankirtan. And when Niraprada Namale, when we take Niraprada Nam, that means offenseless chanting, then Paye Premadhan. So this is the adhikar we should have for reading this book. Now in the second paragraph, he's saying, persons who have faith that by following the path of sadhana bhakti, by and taking shelter of the holy name, they will attain all perfection, are the best spiritual aspirants. The path is sadhana bhakti, and the topmost anga of sadhana bhakti is nama bhajan, nama ashray. They are the best adhikaris for reading this book. In the Shikshashtaka, Lord Chaitanya taught about the holy name, the first verse of Shikshashtam. Lord Chaitanya also taught Haridas Thakur and selected him to be the greatest teachers of the holy name. So because our path is path of the holy name, we should know about the holy name. So the Namacharya of the holy name is Haridas Thakur. The Naam is propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to propagate the Naam, and he taught the Nama Tattva through Haridas Thakur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught the Rasa Tattva in the Rai Ramanand conversation, the Nama Tattva with Haridas Thakur, the Bhakti Tattva, Krishna Tattva, and also the Rasa Tattva to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So similarly, the Nama Tattva was glorified or exemplified from the mouth of Srila Haridas Thakur. So this Shri Harinam Chantamani will be glorifying the Nama Tattva, and this is a conversation between Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now from paragraph 3 onwards, a brief biography of Haridas Thakur is there. Now before we go to that, as I mentioned, Adhikari, the concept of the Anubandha Chatushtay. What is this Anubandha Chatushtay? Traditional works list these items at the beginning. Adhikari, qualified person to study the text. Vishaya, the subject of the text. Prayojan, goal of knowledge. And Sambandh, the text should relate to the subject. So Adhikari, who is the Adhikari? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned, one who has faith in Lord Chaitanya, faith in Bhakti, faith in the holy names. The Vishaya, Vishaya is the what? About the holy name. And what will be the goal? Krishna Prem. So how to attain Krishna Prem? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss in chapter 15 especially, and the Sambandha. So what is in the book itself? If the subject is of the holy name, the subject should speak about the holy name also. The text should discuss about the subject itself, the Vishaya. The text should not discuss something else. One book is written about, who was this? Akbar's son. Akbar's son was, I don't recollect who is Akbar's son. Anyone knows who is Akbar's son? Akbar, the great king, not Akbar, sorry. Who built the Taj Mahal? Who built the Taj Mahal? I'm not able to recollect. Anyone knows? Shah Jahan. And his son was? His son was one who desecrated Aurangzeb. Yeah, Aurangzeb. Yeah, Aurangzeb. My memories have become very vague now. Now, there was one book, written by one author, and it was mentioned, the book title was The Glories of Shah Jahan. But inside the text of the book, there was only about Aurangzeb. How Aurangzeb did so much massacre, destroyed so many temples, how he himself, very much harassed his father. We all know that, So the entire book dealt with Aurangzeb. So one of the friends asked this author, my dear friend, you have written the subject of the text about Aurangzeb, but your title is about the glories of Shah Jahan. So what is this? There is difference. But then the author, clarified by telling about the son, what he did to his father, what kind of a son, if you have, what effect it can have, I wanted to show. So that's why the intent of the author was not known there. So the author might, give a title, the glories of the holy name, but the title should have the text which relate to the title. So Sambandh is what? The text that should relate to the subject. So this is called as the Anubandha Chatushtaya. So Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, as I remembered. So these four things are there, and these four things you will find in the, this introduction, or what briefly Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken. Now, I will also, in the next class tomorrow, speak more about the introduction, about the glories of Haridas Thakur, and then we will, go actually into Sri Harinam Chintamani verse by verse discussion. So we will stop here because it is 8:28, and tomorrow we will continue with the introduction discussion, and we will go to the first chapter. So any questions, any clarifications you have, you can raise your hand now. Yeah, there is one question. Vikram. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, are we going to get the video recording of the sessions, all sessions, including today?
Yeah, you will get the video recordings with the PPT also and the audio recordings.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Prem has a question. Yes, Prem.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. So Prabhu, as much this is an amazing class. Of course, during this entire series, you will know about the glories of the Harinam and how to go from offensive chanting to offenseless, and about that, would you also be covering in terms of the practical examples of how one can really commit offenses? Because for us we are always kind of distracted, right? For example, when we're chanting, we're talking to somebody, we're watching our phone, or we are, just distracted in our thought or actions. So if you can share practical examples also during the entire series in terms of what exactly is an offense, because we are such fools that we can't even know what is an offense. We think it's just normal. I mean, we are just chanting and suddenly we get a call. Okay, let's just put it on hold or whatever. So if you can please, share practical examples of what we define as offense. Of course, the list can be infinite, but at least from your experience, whatever you can please share.
Yeah. So definitely, Prem's question is very, very relevant for sadhakas. In fact, we don't even understand that we are committing an offense, especially while chanting. Because this Sambandha when we come to that time, while discussing the Sambandha that is the verse by verse discussion, I will be also giving some practical hints in our day-to-day experience how we are actually committing offenses and we are not able to access the potency of the holy name. Because somebody who is chanting Namabhashyana, he understands the glories of the holy name and he is focused on the holy name and he will not get distracted. And sadhakas, especially who are in the Namaparad stage, they don't realize actually, that they are committing offenses. They are not able to tap into the, potency of the holy name. So what in our day-to-day practices, what we are really doing where we are committing offenses, we need to understand them. So in one of the highlights which I had given in the discussion was, we will be going into practical tools and tips about chanting. We will be discussing that definitely. For no doubt, we will be discussing that. And this will come up as I'm discussing the Bengali verses. So as I discuss the Bengali verses, I will be discussing some of the hints and practical tools and tips about chanting where we can avoid these offenses. I will be discussing that, no doubt about it. So nothing to worry about it. We will go into that as we begin discussing the verses of Sri Harinama Chintamani. Any other clarifications or any other questions? You can give me your feedback about anything you have to say about the discussions we are having, and any things you would like as suggestions also are welcome. This session you might find it a little difficult. Please bear with me. Once we go to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book Sri Harinam Chintamani, it is composed in very simple Bengali language. The language is very simple, very plain, very clear, and you will easily understand it. And I will be putting it in the form of flowcharts to make things still more simpler. And don't worry about it. This book is nectar, and it will definitely, within the next 3 months of these discussions of Sri Harinam Chintamani, it will have an extremely deep impact on your chanting. That 100% I can assure. with discussion of Sri Harinam Chintamani. It will have a very, very deep impact on our chanting by understanding this knowledge what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given. So be geared up for the next 3 months for our discussions on Sri Harinam Chintamani. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Sri Harinama Chintamani ki jai.